Welcome, everybody, to Gooner Gathering. My name is Gooner Lee Meads, Lee Meadows. Welcome back to the channel. Of course, I am joined by my broadcast partner, Posh Bertie. Hello, sir. How are you?
Yes, hello. I'm fine. I'm looking forward to discussing in this video, and
Yeah.
yes. So looking forward to it. I haven't been my best
Yeah.
few days, but I'm okay, and yeah. This
Okay.
is an emergency meeting. Good to see you, AFC always. It's an instant match reaction, but yeah, good to see
Yeah.
you.
What I tell you what it is, AFC always. It is as you'd expect from Gooner Gathering. It's unscripted, it's uncooked, it's raw, it's reactions. What I would suggest we'll do first and foremost, there's a lot more serious stuff going on in the world than what goes on a football pitch, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, last night we got the news that Mikel Antonio, the West Ham forward, was involved in a road traffic accident and sounds like he's in a little bit of a bad way. So I think what we want to do is quite rightly address that first up and wish him a speedy recovery. I have seen some pictures of what has occurred got on there in an incident here in Essex. So it's a get well soon for Mikel Antonio. It's obviously a lot more serious stuff going on in the world, Bosch, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I just hope everything is fine with him.
Yeah, I understand from the statement out of West Ham that he's been in repairing a broken limb, I believe. But obviously, West Ham will deal with that situation as and when there's more to reveal. Right, I kind of hoped tonight, and yeah, quite right, AFC always get well, Antonio. I kind of hope tonight we'll be here and a nice, relaxed sort of circumstances after a nice couple of results over the weekend. But what I think I want to do, obviously, it's straight off our 1-1 draw at Craven Cottage. As I said in the title, we've dropped points again at Craven Cottage, and I think we'll probably dissect into that, probably because it's more relevant than anything else at the moment. Let's go from the get go. Of course, there was a change from the starting 11. There was two changes, if I'm remembering correctly. Zinchenko wasn't in the 11. He wasn't even in the squad today. Sounds like there was another injury. And they did the swap on the left-hand side of the attacking formation, Martinelli dropping out for Trossard. I think I know your thoughts on the starting 11, Posh, but go ahead and tell the people what you thought.
I knew that we weren't going to win the moment I saw that starting 11.
And why was that?
Well, simple, really. Partey at right back. No players like... and seeing how Fulham lined up and seeing how we lined up with Partey at right back, the midfield, Jorginho as well, and I just had a feeling that it didn't look like a lineup that was good enough. No, Gabriel as well.
Of course.
Didn't look like a lineup that was going to win. And the team selection was all wrong. Yeah, I do get that, AFC always. The thing is, it's Partey at right back that's the issue. And because Kieran Tierney was on the bench and so was Lewis Skelly. What I would have done is I'd have had Timber at right back and either Tierney or Lewis Skelly at left back. But as we know, Arteta does not like Kieran Tierney, and Lewis Skelly is in the academy, so he's not going to get a chance. And Kieran Tierney is just all done. So it's going to have to be good old Thomas Partey at right back because it's worked so well in the past, hasn't it?
Last time we saw him at right back, I think, was against Chelsea, perhaps. He did all right in that game. You even sung his praises.
It was against Liverpool. It was one decent game he had. But other than that, all the other games he's had at right back, it was not good. And it's the same today.
Okay.
Partey is not a right back. He's a midfielder. And the fact that Arteta would rather play Partey at right back than to not have Timber at right back and not play Tierney just says it all. It's an insult to Kieran Tierney, and it's an insult to Lewis Skelly as well.
Okay. I will take that on board, and I'll probably say I don't think we drew today at Craven Cottage because Thomas Partey was playing at right back. I don't think that is fundamentally the issue. I get your point of view.
There are more issues, way more issues. As AFC always says, there's something fundamentally wrong at Arsenal Football Club. Many issues. Most of it comes from the tactics, but yeah.
Okay, well, this is what we're here to do, Posh. We're here to get into it. I will counter your argument a little bit, and I'm going to go by what I know to be fact. Okay, I'm not sure that Kieran Tierney has even played any minutes for the academy, the reserve side, let alone so throw him into a competitive game against a very creditable opposition. I think that's fair. Lewis Skelly, I must admit, I was surprised to see on the bench because I knew he picked up an injury prior to the last game against Man United. So it might have been before that. But I get what you're saying, and perhaps the balance of the side might have been better. I think we've seen the best of Timber, certainly this season when he's operating on the right-hand side with Saka. You probably agree with me on that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I do get your point of view. I suppose the gamble was, look, they put Thomas Partey in there. I obviously think he's better in centre midfield. Of course, I agree with you and AFC always in that one. Of course I do. But it's all about trying to put... how can I put it? It's trying to find the best balance for the side. I don't necessarily think Arteta got it right today. I really don't. And yeah, you might be surprised on my reaction to that. Having said all that, I think Arsenal started brightly today. And for the first 10 minutes, we had absolutely all the ball and looked comfortable. And then, of course, what happened was we got caught out one ball that cut our defence to ribbons. Comment firstly on the opening sort of salvo from Arsenal, and then we'll get into the goal.
Yeah, started off all right, but it doesn't mean anything. We can have as much possession as we want, but it's all about the scoreline in the end.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll get to more of this, but the first goal happened. Raul Jimenez scored. You know who started the move? Emil Smith-Rowe. He didn't get the assist, but he started the move.
Right.
I can't remember who got the assist.
I've got it with you. I've got it with me, Posh. It's Tete, the number 2.
Okay.
Who played that long ball out, and Jimenez actually looking at somewhat of his best actually from back in his Wolves days when he took that pass on and finished very strongly.
He was clean through. We should have done better defensively. But Gabriel was missing. I don't care.
He was.
We should have done better defensively.
Yes.
It was 1-0 to Fulham. Look, we can have as much possession as we want. At the end of the day, it doesn't mean anything. It's all about the scoreline. And let's be honest, we did nothing with that possession.
We had a couple of sort of half opportunities, perhaps, in that early bit of the ball, early bit of the game. Yeah, we never really sort of threatened Leno, our former goalkeeper, of course. I see your comment, AFC always. First half was awful. I think you're saying that because we hadn't scored. I don't think we were awful. I don't think we were our best.
We did nothing with the possession we had. It was completely flat.
Again, I know where you're coming from. I think we had a couple of opportunities. There was certainly one I definitely recall off the bat without looking back from Saka that Leno kept out quite well as a goalkeeper, but we weren't at our best by any stretch of the imagination. Maybe one pass I think comes to mind from Trossard to put Rice through. Rice had an opportunity on his wrong foot that went wide. That was pretty much the first half, right?
Yeah, and it wasn't good enough, and so many people were calling for Kieran Tierney to be in defence again.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, as we said, that's not the main issue. And by the way, look who's joined us, ladies and gentlemen. Dominic Palmer is here, and he's on the road to 50 subs. Hello, Dom. How are you?
All good, mate. I was hoping to finish my apple before you let me in.
Dom, you in here in a second. I have a loading screen at the moment, guys. Bear with me.
Oh, well, he's on my screen. So that's okay. We were just saying, Dom.
Let him talk to you.
We were just saying that, we had more possession in the first half, but didn't do anything with it. And that Partey at right back shouldn't have happened. It should have been either Tierney or Lewis Skelly at left back and Timber at right back. Your thoughts?
I mean, firstly, on the first point, I thought it was very similar to the United game midweek, right? I mean, Arsenal dominated the first half without really doing a lot. It was a relatively turgid first half. I think the only difference was we got hit by, the direct route, which is probably one of the more effective ways to beat the press that sort of Arsenal sort of put in place, is to go more direct because we're so high up the pitch, and Fulham did that well, and they nearly did it a second time when Smith Rowe decided to do us a favour.
Yeah, too right and all.
Yeah, it's nice for him to repay us like that.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But yeah, and then the second half, I think, you haven't got to it yet. I think we upped it more. But yeah, I think Arsenal feel hard done by in some ways to be in 1-0 down at half time, but equally have to take responsibility for that because they just didn't do enough with what they had. And in the Premier League, when you're facing a good side like Fulham, that's what's going to happen. So I don't think they can they can't feel sorry for themselves because it's on them. In terms of the Partey at right back, I think you can look at it in two ways, right? I think after the game, it's really easy to say. I think it's a question really of why that decision has been made, and I think I can understand why the decision has been made there. So I think there's obviously no Zinchenko, no Gabriel, no Calafiori. So Kivior starts at left centre half. I wouldn't start him at left back in that situation anyway, even if Gabriel had been fit. Well, maybe it would if Gabriel had been fit, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I think at that point, do you want a match fit player alongside him or do you not? And I think that was where the decision was made that Timber has lots of minutes in his legs and fits a tactical fit. And that's why he's gone with the decision. I can understand that decision. I think I also, Tierney doesn't fit what we want to do and hasn't got any minutes. So that's why it's happened. But no one wants Partey at right back. I've said for a couple of weeks, at some point, Partey's going to have to play right back because Timber needs a rest. This hasn't got Timber the rest, right? No. And I think that therein lies a difference. So I think I'm not. It's not the decision I'm going to get on Arteta's back over. In fact, I actually think this result is more on the players than the manager and coaching staff, if I'm honest. Although ultimately the manager has to take responsibility. But I don't. I think this was lost further up the pitch than at the back. It is my view, and I don't think that decision is the one that cost us the game.
I think that's absolutely fair. Sorry, Posh.
No, I understand your opinion, Dom, but I just think that when you've got two capable left backs in Tierney and Lewis Skelly, you could easily play Timber at right back and have one of those two at left back. But that's just my opinion. And
I think that's perfectly valid as well, Posh. Right? I mean, I'm not sure how fit Lewis Skelly is. Tierney presumably in training, but we don't know how long he can go for. And what the medical situation with him is.
One still be better than having Partey at right back, in my view.
But I think your view there is perfectly valid. I think neither situation is ideal, to be honest with you. And I think had Miles Lewis Skelly been fit for the last few weeks, or Kieran Tierney had got some minutes like he could have done, the other day, I think it was perfectly reasonable to suggest that when Timber moved across to left back, you moved Tierney there because the game was done. United were offering nothing. That might change a dial. But I understand, having not done that, why the decision was made. But I equally agree. It's not one way I'm going to go to town and say, no, it's the wrong decision to not play. If Tierney had started, I wouldn't have been jumping up and down and going, oh, what the hell? Because it's a perfectly reasonable expectation. No one wants to see Partey right back.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just jump in to say Miles Lewis-Skelly, although his first team minutes have largely been at left back, that is not his natural position. He's been rather, I would say, probably shoehorned into that position, just a case of getting some minutes when he's had the minutes, like in the cup, for example. And that largely goes into what Dom says about players with minutes and sort of trying to fill the best available options. And again, with Kieran Tierney, he's not even had any minutes for us in the reserve side, let alone in the Carabao Cup side. If you put him against someone like the pacey winger, which his name is escaping me at the moment, but I'll get to it. It's Traore, and of course you're playing against Iwobi as well. He possibly would have got skinned like no one's business. So that's possibly a reason why that has happened. Is there anything you want to add, Dom, about Jimenez's goal before we move on and maybe talk about the Smith Rowe chance a little bit?
No, I mean, look, Arsenal got caught with a very much a route one ball. You've got to be disappointed with that. But it's a risk you pay. I mean, look, every system has a weakness, and when you're pressing high, that's going to be the natural weakness of it. I've been talking in recent weeks about, a lot of people have been on Calafiori's case, right? And you can understand why. We were on Zinchenko's case the other day. Again, I think just because of the way we set up, the left back area is the weakness that gets exploited because of the way we play. And I think this goal was a consequence of that weakness of the way we play.
Yeah.
I mean, Kivior positioning wise, could it have been better? Yes, possibly.
Yeah.
Does Gabriel get done? No. But then Gabriel's a better player than Kivior. There's no question about it. It's why one is a starter and the other is a backup.
Yeah, I actually thought we got caught cold with that one pass that came out. And I don't know if Arsenal got cocky or got overconfident because the way they started in the first 10 minutes or so. But it literally took one ball that tore us apart. And then, of course, Jimenez getting some payback on Arsenal. Of course, it was Jimenez who got injured when he was playing for Wolves at the Emirates when he got his serious head injury. So he gets his goal and he took it well. I don't think he had many chances during the game, but he took his chance very nicely. Posh, I want to go to you on the Emil Smith Rowe chance because the ball went to Smith Rowe, and if he had a decent touch to it, he possibly would have been through. And I know how much you rate him as a player, so this is your moment, sir.
Well, it was also, you mentioned how I rate him as a player. There was a bit of an injury scare, wasn't there, towards Odegaard?
I was going to get to that in a bit, but yes.
If I was saying if that happened, if only we had an attacking midfielder at our disposal there. But look, I think it was unfortunate for Smith Rowe to mistouch like that, and it's a tricky one to do. But was it our defender that got there in time? I can't really. Or was it just a simple mistouch?
Basically, if he controls the ball going towards Raya, he's through on goal. He controlled it and it went backwards 5 yards behind him, which did mean that our defender did get there, but our defender should never have got there.
Okay, no. So I think it was lucky that it was the latter option then when it went. He didn't control it towards Raya, because if he did, he'd have been thrown goal, and who knows what would have happened. And I think, unlucky for Smith Rowe. Really, I'm sure you can imagine the reaction if he scored against Arsenal.
I thought he would score.
I think the phrase reality check would have come into mind there. But yeah.
Okay. You made a great point, Posh, about the Odegaard injury. I don't feel personally Odegaard was anywhere near as influential as he has been in the previous week. And I wonder if he did pick up a little bit of an ankle injury, which he did play on for the majority of the second half, and he did actually get replaced by Ethan Nawari for about 11, 12 minutes to go. I wonder if that had a part to play in him being a little bit compromised during the second half, certainly. Arsenal, for their part in the game, I felt started the second half pretty brightly and indeed equalised on the 52nd minute. Of course, it's set piece FC coming to rescue again. The ball this time came in a little bit deeper. Kai Havertz, who I know has had a lot of criticism during the game, we'll get into him in a minute. He got a head to the ball, diverted it towards Saliba, who put it in. It initially looked offside, where actually there was a leg that was keeping him onside. Perhaps Arsenal were touch fortunate on it, goal counting, but it was the right call for VAR. Saliba, that's 2-2 for him, trying to spin somewhat of a positive, and obviously what's not a great result. Either of you.
It was the right call, but I will say I don't know why Havertz didn't score it, because it'd have been, instead he risked us being in an offside position by heading it towards Saliba, who looked offside. Luckily, I can't remember who the defender was, but his left foot kept Saliba onside just. But if it wasn't like that, the goal would have been ruled out. But yes, we were just about lucky there, and it was a good job. The defender's foot kept Saliba onside. But yes, another corner, another equaliser. But I just wish we would score a goal from open play for once, because we've not done that in a while.
Well, maybe a couple of goals to go. Go on.
Yeah, I was going to say, just on that, the majority of our goals in those 13 goals we scored last week did come from open play, to be fair.
Yeah, we need to do that again, because
but yeah, I mean, I don't disagree
like we have to rely on corners or penalties to get a goal, and that's not the team we are.
I don't disagree that we should be scoring more from open goals. I just think the narrative that is in the media that that's our only way of scoring is not totally true. And that's where I would rile against the point that we're set piece FC. Yes, our last 3 goals have come from it, and yes, Arsenal are very, very good at them. And why shouldn't we be? But I think there is more to this team than just that. And it's not like we haven't scored in 3 months from open play. Which makes it's a narrative that sort of, I'm exaggerating the narrative slightly, that's playing out. That's the bit that I would slightly rile against.
I think that's absolutely fair, Dom. It's something traditionally Arsenal have always been good at. Back in the day when I was started watching with the likes of Tony Adams, Steve Bold, Martin Keown, at centre half, and playing the ball in from there with the likes of Merson or someone. But
Alan Smith.
Absolutely, of course. By
the way, I really am this small. This is just a normal size cup.
Excellent. Thanks, mate, for that. But this is where the big boys play. Sorry, mate. Anyway, let's move on. Right. So look, we get this equalising goal. I probably should bring it towards Kai Havertz, because I know Posh is going to be screaming at me again, saying, "Oh, if we had a decent centre forward, we might have scored." Let me finish, because you finished, yeah. Thanks, mate. So if we had a decent centre forward, this is what he would say, right? There'd be a couple of chances, even in the goal that we scored. I'm not even sure Havertz meant to play it to Saliba, but he did. And there was another opportunity where Havertz had an opportunity. I think the ball might have been fed to him by Ødegaard, and he went to try and go for the sneaky finish at the near post. Maybe someone with a little bit more finesse, perhaps you might say, might have put us ahead. I'm going to throw it to either of you.
He's not good enough. I'm sorry, but if we had, as we were saying, it's another game where a lack of an actual, clinical striker cost us again. And I'm getting sick and tired of saying the same thing, but it's the truth. And when you were getting all excited over Havertz scoring the same amount of goals he scored when he was at Chelsea in shorter time. But do you remember he wasn't that good at Chelsea? Why do you think I was so furious that we signed him? Because he wasn't good at Chelsea. He's not. Yes, he can score goals up front. He's capable of doing so, but he's not going to score the amount of goals you need to win anything. And I've said this too many times, and I'm getting sick and tired of talking about it myself. Havertz isn't good enough. He's a good backup striker, and that's it.
So I'm going to somewhat agree before putting the bit that I don't agree with. So I think today is a day where Arsenal missed a more clinical, more traditional number 9. Because it was a game of few chances, and you just felt that. And look, Havertz didn't have his best game today, but I think even Havertz at his best today, you're probably missing that type of player up front, right? So that's where Arsenal, and I understand why they didn't in the summer, and I can go into that if people want, but I'll leave that for another time. For now, that's where Arsenal might have missed a trick, right? At games like this where it's not happening. Because I'm not sure Jesus, even if he was scoring goals, which he's not at the moment, I'm not sure he was the right type of striker to unlock that Fulham defence today. Where I would disagree with Posh is on two things. One, Havertz in his time here is averaging a goal and assist every other game, which is not horrific. Particularly, and you can't take it out, but particularly when you consider he's played some of those games, or a lot of those games, not a lot, but a significant proportion of those games still in midfield, and where he started incredibly poorly for Arsenal. Secondly, I think the way Arsenal play, and I likened it the other day to Bobby Firmino when he led the line for Liverpool. Not a proper striker, right? Bobby Firmino. Havertz, not a proper striker. But their role is almost as a facilitator, right? Where they drop deep, link the play a little bit more, and it gives space for others. And Arsenal are a team, Man City are a team built around essentially Haaland, trying to get Haaland as many goals as possible. Not just all the goals, but a significant proportion of them. Arsenal have built the team differently, and I think you are able to win the league title in a different way. I still think Havertz, by the way, will get 20 plus goals this season in all competitions. I think that will happen. But I don't disagree with you that Arsenal needed a different type of striker today to unlock a very good Fulham side. And I should have said when we were talking about Fulham earlier, I think you also have to give them credit for their defensive organisation today. Fulham looked really, really well drilled defensively. And that's where that a different striker may well have made a difference. So that's where I somewhat agree with you. But I think to say Havertz isn't good enough, it is slightly over-egging it. But it does need a different option. I think the issue is that that Jesus, since that knee injury, has not been good enough. And that's where Arsenal probably missed a trick. I wasn't expecting a strike in the summer, but that's where they possibly missed a trick.
Can I say Declan here saying, I've never seen Posh rant. I'm going to put the link into my channel. Go and have a look at the exclusive videos on my channel.
Right.
Then you can see a proper classic Posh rant. Enjoy it because
it's a sort of rant. It's a sort of rant he wouldn't get away with here on Gooner Gathering. I'll say that much. Although the language is fine, it's just a point of view which I not necessarily want to relate to the channel that I'm running. If you get what I mean, is that fair, Posh?
That's why I only put it on my channel. But yeah, as I was saying, I don't think Havertz is. Do you know what? I'm going to go out on a limb here. Nicholas Jackson's better than him this season. This season, Nicholas Jackson's been better than Havertz.
I don't think that's totally untrue. What I do think is they have slightly different roles in the team, which makes it slightly harder to judge. But sorry, Lee, you were gonna opine.
I was, and unfortunately, the point I made has sort of disappeared out of my brain. I will say the Havertz thing. I thought you. Yes, it's come to me. Right. Praising Fulham. That's important. We do that because of the way they set up. I felt tactically doing a little bit of analysis here. they set up with a 5-4-1 sort of situation here, I felt that their 5 defenders were actually frustrating Arsenal's forward players so much that they were rushed into a mistake. I quite often saw it off both of Trossard and both of Saka as well, where a pass might have been rushed somewhat, and it rather fell into their hands as how they were setting up. I think they were trying to rush things a little bit, and clearly getting frustrated from it. I felt Arsenal came out the second half a little bit more direct. We scored from the set play. I think we should probably got more from it. The other thing I was going to say, as my brain was ticking over there, is Havertz did seem to try and get himself more into the game in the first half by dropping into that said midfield position, as Don was kind of talking about. But when they does that, it means that the target up front is somewhat missing. What do you think, guys?
Yeah, he's not getting close enough to goal is costing him goals, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Oh, we know all about Luca AFC, mate. Don't you worry about that. Been on our channel before, actually. It's been a while.
Thank you very much, Declan.
He's my biggest fan right now.
What, Luca?
Yeah, seriously. Yeah.
That's nice to hear. He's a good lad himself, whatever channel name Luca's going under at the moment, because I know he changes it every now and then.
I'm either missing the sarcasm and genuinely taking his face, or he really, really is. I'm choosing to take it as a positive.
I'll give you my take on Luca AFC. Posh Bertie in full ramp mode, and then you times it by about 100.
Yeah, I think
and add a bit of Italian in there, you know. It's
the Italian way, I think you'll find, and respect him for it. I got nothing but love for Luca. You don't say. He's Arteta out.
Yes,
you've got another subscriber.
We'll get to that in a minute.
You've got another subscriber, Posh.
Yes, I know. I saw that. Thank you very much.
So, was there any point in the game where we thought we might get ourselves a winner? Yes, there was, because right at the death, of course, it looked like Gabriel Martinelli got a ball on the left-hand side. It was played across the box, and Saka was wearing the captain's armband because Odegaard was withdrawn. Put the ball in the net, and it looked like we had got a last-minute winner, thanks, unfortunately, to a correct decision on the VAR. No, I'm not going to complain about the referee. I'm not going to complain about the wind. No, I'm not going to complain about anything the referee did, because Gabriel Martinelli, ladies and gentlemen, was well and truly offside when he absolutely shouldn't have been.
Yes.
Setting you up, Posh.
So Gabriel Martinelli, when he came on, right? First of all, before this goal happened, he was booked for was it for delaying the restart or something else? But I know I saw him just throwing the ball in anger. And
it's a good job there weren't many other examples of that went unpunished, by the way.
There was it was someone. I don't say it was like this, but someone described it as kind of somewhat akin to Granit Xhaka against Liverpool. It woke the crowd up, and it kind of got the Fulham players a bit more motivated. I didn't see that, but I kind of saw where this person was coming from. But Martinelli got a pointless yellow card. He shouldn't have done that. And the whole time he came on, he wasn't good. And he cost us the all-important winner by being offside in the build-up. And, you know, when I said the uncomfortable conversations about Martinelli after the Atalanta game, and then after that he ended up scoring a couple of goals, which is great. Mm-hmm. I think it's time to have them again. Now, a lot of people are saying get rid of him, he's done. But I'm not saying that yet, but I'm getting there. We know the reason why I'm not saying get rid of him now is because we know there's a player in there. We know that he's very good. But again, and you're going to roll your eyes, but it's the way he's being managed. It's a management issue because we know Martinelli, when you set him free, he can be brilliant, but we're not playing that way. We're too restricted, and that comes down to how we're managed. But yeah.
Do you want me to respond to that? Because
Yes.
I will. I don't think it's the way it's been. Yeah, good to see early doors. I was obviously in the preview before the West Ham game, and it's good to see you. We did mention Mikel Antonio right at the start of the show, so we hope he's doing well. It doesn't take Mikel Arteta to say to Martinelli, look up and look where you are, to put the ball in a decent area to cross it in the right place, does it?
Yeah, that's one thing that Martinelli stresses me out with. I don't know why he does it. He does this. And I
know he's a very direct, quick player and stuff. I think his quality of ball does have to be a bit better. Not singling him out because there's a lot of issues today, clearly. But
yeah, and I'm not at the moment. I know a lot of people are losing their patience with Martinelli, but I'm not saying get rid of him at the moment because I do think if we do, he'd be one of those players we'd regret getting rid of.
Yeah, I think for me, Arsenal looked slightly more balanced, possibly because they upped the tempo slightly more when Martinelli came on. I think he offered that direct approach. But I think sometimes, look, he gets criticised for saying he doesn't have a football brain. I think that's over the top because I don't think you can play in the system if you don't. But he definitely 100%. If I'm him, I spend all my time working on my decision making. Earlier in the season, he was in a bad run of form. I always felt it was a bad run of form and that with a goal, it would see an improvement in his performance. And we've certainly seen that. But I think what we are seeing is the true Martinelli level. I don't think it was last season's Martinelli, nor do I think it was 2 seasons ago. It's somewhere in between, which is roughly where we are now. I think the uncomfortable conversation for me is around his role going forward. And I think that role is at Arsenal. But I think Arsenal do strongly need to look at bringing in a left-sided forward to compete with him. Now, Trossard does that in some ways, but he's a very different type of player. I think what it needs is a Martinelli sort of upgrade, if you like. And does Martinelli become the sort of backup for Saka / backup for whoever comes in on the left wing? I think that could well be probably his level in this squad, and it's not a bad one for us to have either. I think that probably is his level, and I think Arsenal probably recognise that. They went looking for that sort of left-sided player. We linked with players like Nico Williams in the summer, and we were thank God it didn't happen. We brought in Trossard, but Mudryk as well before that. So I think Arsenal have been looking at that sort of option for a little while. I think it's an area they were aware of, but that's where I think we are on Martinelli. But he should not have been in that position. A 16, 17-year-old kid should have known not to be in that position, let alone a professional player of his standing. Look, it happens. It does happen in games. Happens to better players than Martinelli as well. But at that point, you're just sitting there going, he's offside. You can see he's offside. What the hell are you doing there?
Yeah. By the way, good news for you, Dom. Mr. Early Doors Football has just subscribed to your channel. So that's excellent news.
Well, thank you very much. And hopefully if you go back, you'll enjoy the West Ham preview where I gave you guys quite a bit of credit. And, it didn't turn out. It turned out an easier game than I thought on the day. So apologies for that. But I thought it would be a tighter game.
Yeah. Of course, West Ham.
Natalie Moonen as well. Good to see you as well.
Sorry, I'm trying to anchor the thing here. Sorry. I was going to say West Ham back in action, of course, on Monday Night Football this week. So Natalie's saying she's disappointed. There was a comment a little bit further up, Declan FTBL saying Jesus was offside. Was he offside one? Because I don't necessarily agree with that.
It was Martinelli who was offside.
I'm sure it was Martinelli, wasn't it?
Wouldn't surprise me if Jesus was offside as well.
Right. So the question I've got to ask to you is now, gentlemen, is of course, we move on now. We're back in the Champions League this week. Home, that is, let me get it right, it's Monaco. On Wednesday at 8 o'clock kickoff. Where do we go from here? Premier League action on Saturday against Everton, and then maybe a more realistic way to maybe get that elusive cup that everyone is shouting for is Crystal Palace in the Carabao on the 18th of December. So where do we go from here, gentlemen?
Well, 3 points on when is it Wednesday?
Wednesday on the 11th, 8 o'clock kickoff TNT.
Not really available to watch it again, which is a shame. But Monaco. Does Balogun still play for them?
I can't say
Yes.
I'm regularly watching him, but I think probably so.
Okay.
All
right.
we saw him
just
to Monaco.
wondering.
He's not moved. He's not moved. We did send him to Monaco.
Okay. We got to get nothing less than 3 points against Monaco in the Champions League. We got to have a much better response from the game against Fulham, and I expect us to win that game, hopefully. But at the end of the day, with and this also applies to the Carabao Cup, and this is my hill to die on. You won't agree with this, but this is my opinion. We're not going to win a single piece of silverware under Mikel Arteta. And I know you'll say, oh, but he won the FA Cup. How many of those players are still part of the squad now? As I've mentioned, Arteta has spent so much money, built the team in his image, and we haven't got past the 4th round of the FA Cup. We've won no trophy since that FA Cup win. And I do think, even if we do get to the final of the Carabao Cup, we'll lose it. Because anything that involves maximum pressure with that team, it just leads to disappointment. And if the Carabao Cup final is going to be between Arsenal versus Tottenham, which would be my prediction, we'll probably end up losing to Tottenham. Because anything that involves pressure is just, when it comes to that.
Well, I hate to contradict you, but if we were playing Spurs in the final, I think you could apply the statement to them too.
Oh my God! Yeah,
it would go on forever.
That could be 5-5 or something, couldn't it? But yeah.
So that Big Brother guy can come and commentate. Day 53 in the penalty shootout.
Yeah.
Oh.
I got your joke, mate. I love it.
All right.
Maybe
Tottenham can be the exception because we know how Spursy they can be, but we can be quite Spursy too. So
how dare you say that on an Arsenal channel?
I mentioned that the way our fans celebrate about finishing second, being competing, we are basically Tottenham in red, and I still stand by that. We are Pochettino's Tottenham at the moment. Hey, I'd rather be Pochettino's Tottenham than Postecoglou's Tottenham at the moment. But either way, both teams don't win anything, so that's a bit of a silly comparison. But look, we're not going to win any trophy under Mikel Arteta with this squad that we have, unfortunately, and that's why I've said all these people saying trust the process and all that. You're being conned, and you look at Liverpool now under Slot. Look how good they've been. Look at Chelsea. Look at what Maresca's been doing. They've been a lot better than they were the past 2 seasons. Like, I don't want to sound like that guy, but what phase is he in? Like, you're being conned.
Do you want me to come on, or do you want to go first, Lee?
Dom, go for it, mate.
So let's start at the beginning because there was quite a lot there, right? I think when you look at Arteta, undoubtedly his domestic cup performances have been very, very poor, and that definitely needs to improve and should have been better, unquestionably. And I think what you can see with any side can win a cup, right? If you take Ten Hag at United, they've won 2 trophies in the last 2 years. Would I switch their seasons for ours? Silverware, yeah. Would I switch their position as a result? No, because I never felt they were going anywhere. And I was delighted with the FA Cup win. I don't think it sort of said to me, how this team's capable of going far now. No, it didn't. Look, it needed a massive, massive overhaul and rebuild. And I think from that point of view, that A, takes time, as I've always said, and B, it's not always as easy to do as people say it is. You know, I've heard people say, look at Villa, and then they take a step back. Look at Newcastle, they take a step back. Arsenal have gone through the phases and have improved year on year, and it's not as easy to do as people say it is. What I do think is true, though, is that Arsenal now are in the position where, no, they have to deliver now, and it has to be this season. That's what was stated when he came. I think he said it's going to take 4 to 5 years to get this right. And that's where we are now. And I think had we not had that Willian season where we completely ballsed it up, we could have been this season could have been last season, if that makes sense. We could have been a year ahead, but we got that really badly wrong. What we have done is built a squad that's capable of winning. I really do believe that. I think, you know, it's one of the strongest squads in the league, but he has to deliver. I think if you get to the end of the season and you haven't won a trophy, unless we have the 7-8 injuries the entire way through the season or something horrific like that, I think you have to be asking the questions, right, about his future. I think that is completely fair and reasonable, and has been my view for the last 3 years. So I've been fairly consistent. Well, not fairly. I have been incredibly consistent on that front. The thing I would sort of take slight objection to is this view that Arne Slot has come in and look, anyone can do it, right? He's inherited a very, very good side, no question. Maresca, in some ways, has inherited a good side because of the amount of money Chelsea have spent. What he has done is sorted them out and gone, do you know what? This is the way we're playing, clear identity. And you have to give him real credit for that, because he is a relatively inexperienced manager, as was Arteta, and has come in and sorted that out. What I do question is how long this continues for. We saw this with Ange Postecoglou, easy for me to say, Ange Postecoglou when he came in at Spurs. Spurs looked really, really good up to Christmas, and then suddenly what happened? We saw it in some ways last year with Liverpool, where I always felt they were out over their skis. I still think they're out over their skis a little bit this season. What we did do today is miss a real opportunity to close that gap and put that pressure on them. And had we done so, I think it would have been really interesting to see Liverpool's reaction, and we've let them off the hook today. 100% we've let them off the hook. But I in terms of Bertie's point here around, do we win anything under Arteta? Well, I think he's going to be here next season. I think the new contracts being offered suggest
he's
Arsenal
going to be here
not
until his contract runs out.
Yeah, now whether that's right or wrong is to be seen, right? But that's what's going to happen. So I think we will win something, because we should win something this season, as I've just said. But I think he's going to be here next season. And I really genuinely do not think that come May 2026, we will be trophyless. What we shouldn't be is wait until May 2026 to win something. This squad is good enough now and should be winning something. And questions do have to be asked if we don't. But I also don't think it's over.
Yeah,
I really don't.
Enough. Right, I'll jump in here and wish Shirley Dawes all the best on his show. He's about to head off to do his things. The best wishes for him on his show. I'll say basically what Dom said. He's come in as a slot, as Maresca, right? In very different circumstances. Arteta came into the job in a mess. I think people forget how much of a mess the club was in under your good friend Unai Emery. And do you know what I mean?
Well, he was in a mess before him as well, let's be honest.
Yeah, quite possibly. Yeah, absolutely, of course. I mean, you could even say the last year or two under Wenger, the club wasn't doing so great. I think that's probably
he won stuff.
He did win cups, and you know, Posh makes the point about the FA Cup. Yeah, I mean, could I draw? You know, in the FA Cup where you've got about 60 odd sides, just us to pick up Man United, but you know, it's at the Emirates, and I'm sure United fans will be looking at that draw thinking, "Oh no, we've drawn blimmin' Arsenal." So you know, it's what it is. Well, that mess won the FA Cup.
Can I just say a reason why I'm very why I might not be so confident in that game? We're going to wear that white. We're going to wear that white kit, aren't we?
I have no idea.
No more.
Yeah,
red.
We will. Yeah, the all white kit to try and promote or try and dissuade you.
The knife crime thing, right? Crime. Yeah.
So I really like that. I think that's a really positive thing. But that kit has not been lucky. That kit has not been lucky for us. But I don't think it's a kit, right? I think that's ridiculous.
It's a great cause, but we always lose in that kit.
Yeah, I don't think it's a kit.
Do maybe something else. Just don't wear that kit.
Bring back the green. That's what I say.
Just really quickly, I think if you want to liken a situation to what Arteta inherited, then I think it's Ruben Amorim at Manchester United. Well, or Jose Mourinho, or Eric Ten Hag's, or Louis van Gaal, right? Which shows how hard it is to do. And just really quickly on AFC always, and hello to you. Would love reading your comment. How much money has Maresca spent? Well, he hasn't spent a lot, but how much money was spent on the squad before him, right? It's not like he inherited a bunch of nobodies, right? That squad. I mean, what are the options at left back? I mean, Cucurella, Euro 2024 winner with Spain. Ben Chilwell, admittedly, never fit, but in theory, a really, really good left back. You look at the other options in central midfield, like Casado, £100 million, Enzo, £100 million. I forget who the one I'm missing is. There's a lot of money being spent on that squad. Yeah. What he has done is done something that no one has done for a little while, which is get them with a clear identity, a clear way of playing, and a commitment to the cause. And that's where he is impressive, to be fair to him.
I'll give them credit as well, because the way they come back today against Spurs was very impressive. I'll give them that. In terms of how much has Maresca spent, I don't think he had to or could spend much because of the FFP situation that had gone on through the previous administration. But he's making the best of what he has got over there, and Cole Palmer, I think, becomes, I believe, has made history today by scoring the most amount of penalties in the Premier League without missing one. What a shrewd signing that was for Chelsea when they got him in straight after the scoring against us in that Community Shield game. Yeah. Of course, if we bring it back to Arsenal a little bit on today's result, of course, we've let Liverpool off the hook a little bit. I think that's fair to say after their game against our next opponents in the Premier League. Everton was postponed because of the weather conditions. Obviously, advantage back to Liverpool on whenever that fixture will be played. But again, maybe our more realistic situation is looking at cup competitions. I think Posh might have said a couple of weeks ago. But hey, I'm not one to throw the white flag out, and Liverpool dropped points against Newcastle last midweek, so it would have been nice if we picked up 3 because we would have closed the gap up nicely. But unfortunately, that's not the case. AFC always is asking questions about how much Chelsea paid for Palmer. I don't really want to go on my phone and Google that.
Well, it was a lot less than
whatever it was. Here we go.
Slight difference in their experience at the time, but
I agree. Maybe
Chelsea got a steal though.
Yeah, I think so, because they took a little bit of a punt on a kid who was trying to make a bit of a name for himself, and I'll give them credit for doing that. And Palmer's, he showed not just at Chelsea but with England as well what he's made of. Yeah, I'm trying to give a nice sort of fair appraise of the whole situation. Gentlemen, is there anything else today that you want to bring up, or we just about covered what we need to do today?
Can I have a moan about Gabriel Jesus for a bit?
Of course you can, Posh.
He's useless. Get rid of him.
Thank you, Posh. Thanks for that.
We replaced Lacazette with Lacazette from Temu.
I think the signing Gabriel Jesus was the right one. Look, Gabriel Jesus, when he came in
at the time, yes,
was really, really good. What he hasn't been is the same since he got that knee injury before the whatever World Cup it would have been, Qatar. It was in the. I can't work out when it was now because it was played at the wrong time. But since he got that knee injury, he's not been the right player. I think for me, would I sell him in January? Not without the right replacement being available, and I'm not sure he is. But I think he's done at Arsenal. He does need a goal. I think he will score 5-6 goals this season if he can get one. I think he just needs that goal in the league. I think
he got on the field.
But he got on the field again today, but he just looks so unconfident. He looks fine in build-up play, but as soon as he gets anywhere near the goal, you can see that. You can see it going through his head. I haven't scored for 5 years or whatever it is. But I would agree with Bertie. He's done for me at the club. He really is.
Jesus was done. It was straight after, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen, didn't we play Monaco in the Emirates Cup? We won on penalties that day. Then news came out that Jesus missed that game because he had to go in for a minor procedure, and then he's never been the same since that minor procedure.
He's not been the same since he got that knee injury. He really hasn't. It's been
Which
one thing after the other. Well, the first one, because I think they're all related to that first one.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. Yeah, it'd be lovely to get a replacement centre forward, wouldn't it? If only it was as easy as that, because I don't think it is. This is gone, Posh.
We need to get the checkbook out in January. That's just what I was going to say. But we won't.
I think... I mean, the one thing you can do definitely in January is trigger the Gyökeres release clause and give him a decision to make. I suspect that will be one that will be done in the summer by somebody, not necessarily us, rather than January. I don't know what our PSR situation is. If you go back to the summer, we were told constantly, and look, this is a tactic, and you've got to take these things with a bit of a pinch of salt, but not much is going to happen because of the finances. But I don't know if those late sales on deadline day of Smith Rowe and Nketiah give us money to spend now, or whether that had been factored in before we got to that point that those guys were going. I don't know. Like, none of us know, right? If that money is there to spend in January, then I think Arsenal's approach will be the same as normal, which is we will only buy who we want rather than buy someone for the sake of it. And I think that's really sensible. But I wonder whether you just go, do you know what, 65 million for Gyökeres, which is roughly what it is on release clause. It's if that's the option there, and you've got the money, I think Arsenal should look to do that, unless Gyökeres is Camper really saying, please don't put me in that situation. I want to see the season out. We knew, with Isaac at Newcastle, lots of reports last summer saying he wanted to stay in Newcastle. Like, you don't waste your time. Yeah,
get a train. Easy.
But you know what I mean?
Take Charlie Patino with him as well.
Let's not go there. But you know what I mean? Unless Gyökeres is saying something like that, that's the one I think you can get done. I'd be reticent to get Osimhen. I really would be reticent to get Osimhen. I don't think Isaac in Newcastle in January is likely. Gyökeres is the only one I feel is possible. Possibly Sesko, who's having an okay-ish season at Leipzig. Leipzig are a bit of a mess. I think he's got something like 15 goals and assists, but I see it more as a summer. But what we don't know is what our financial situation is from a PSR point of view. Just none of us know.
And what about the point that AFC always says here? What was the point in signing birthday boy Raheem Sterling if he's not getting some sort of game like today?
You know what I'm going to say, don't you? Should have kept Reece Nelson. He's genuinely better.
So I think there's two things here, right? Do I think Reece Nelson has a future at the club? No. So therefore, I think you send him to Fulham, increase his value, and look to sell him. Therefore, you need the replacement, which is Raheem Sterling, who is a proven winner that can only be helpful from the off-the-field stuff. I mean, what I do think is Raheem Sterling the answer? No. I never thought he was the answer. Do I think this was a stupid pickup? No, because he got 15 goals and assists last season for Chelsea in a poor Chelsea side. He can play right and left. He's experienced. And we've basically got him for next to nothing, right? Because Chelsea are paying at least half, if not more, of his wages, and there's no commitment for us. Where I do think is there any point in signing Raheem Sterling? Well, not if he's not going to play, right? Today, yes, we brought Martinelli on the left. Do you want to take Saka off? No, I can understand why he hasn't. And I know, obviously, he didn't come on the other day because he was stripped off and then we had to make the Gabriel replacement. I think it was Gabriel or Calafiori, whichever one it was. I think it was Gabriel.
Gabriel, yeah.
But ultimately, I don't think we can make a judgment on Raheem Sterling so far I think he was poor against Shakhtar, but other than that, I think he's been okay and no more. But he's not really had the world supply of minutes, and that makes it really difficult to judge him. And that's where Arteta has to take some responsibility again for not trusting these players off the bench. And that's where, if I want to make a criticism of Arteta, a consistent one, it's that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair. The only time that Sterling's had on the pitch is in the Carabao, I think. And in that time, he has scored a couple of goals, and he's provided Ethan with an assist or two. He even provided Ethan Nowari with a goal against Forest in the other week in the Premier League. If I'm not mistaken.
I think that's fair, though. I would point to the level of our opponents in the EFL Cup, but you're right. He did get the assist against Forest. And actually, by the way, he's just because I want to stir things slightly, he does have a better goals to minute ratio than Neto in terms of goals and assists this season.
That's good to know. I don't think there's a better way we could end the stream.
Neto's the better player, but okay.
Oh, undoubtedly. Look, no question. I mean, at this point, Sterling has been the better player. If you took peak Sterling or peak Neto, you take peak Sterling. But right now, Neto is a better player. But I do think, and this is a serious point rather than this tongue-in-cheek one I just made. The reason I am not going to ever criticise Arsenal for passing on Neto, even if Neto doesn't get injured for the next 5 years, is we get really frustrated, and rightly so, with Tomiyasu, Partey in the last few seasons, Zinchenko, Jesus for being injured and not available. Neto, and I've said this many times, 41.6% of games missed over a 5-year period with successive injuries, not just one big one like Timber. Like Timber's record will be horrific because he missed everything in one big go, right? It was a multiple injuries. And that's why I cannot criticise Arsenal for passing on Pedro Neto on a serious note.
I think that's fair enough. I know Posh is probably want to argue the case, but
I was just going to say, I've something I forgot to point out. When one key player for us, one or two key players get injured for us, we just completely change our style of play. It's annoying, but
look, that's really frustrating, right? And we saw what difference Odegaard made, but I would also make the same point is true of several other teams. You look at Man City under Rodri. What happens if Salah gets injured for Liverpool? Will they change their style of play? Probably not. I think that's a disappointment for me with Odegaard was the lack of, we went too defensive, right? I've said it consistently, but I think every team in the world is reliant on, if one or two key players get injured, it makes such a big difference. Salah has been involved in 75% of all goals, if not more, that Liverpool have scored this season, either with a goal or an assist. Take him out, you'd worry about what would happen, right? That's not to criticise the other players and say they're rubbish, but it does show that this is not a unique Arsenal problem.
That's absolutely fair enough. Gentlemen, I think this is the point of the stream where I need to get going, all right? So I do want to thank you both for jumping on. It's been an interesting discussion, as we knew it would be after what has been a very frustrating afternoon's football for Arsenal. Let's throw it to Dom first. Let's give your channel a big shout out, Dom, and where they can find you on the social media, please, mate.
So it's Arsenal Domination. I will record a video on straight after this. I was hoping to do it before this, but I was running late already, so I didn't want to be later. As I say, it's a new channel, been out less than 3 weeks at the moment. So I just wanted to thank you and others as well for the support in that. You can find me at Twitter at the Twitter handle below. I'm trying to start my own Twitter on AFC. Arsenal Domination, but I can't remember what the damn thing is, so that's gone well.
Fair. Thank you very much, Dom, for your time this evening. We appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure, mate. Always a pleasure. Posh Bertie, sir. Go on. Your
you
stage.
can find me on X at Posh Bertie. My Instagram's at Bertie Wanless, and I run Gooner Gathering's Instagram account, which is, of course, at Gooner Gathering. Because right here on this channel, we watch Arsenal, so you don't have to, even if it does stress us out.
Absolutely, that is correct. To finalise the proceedings, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching tonight If you've got this far, if you haven't hit that like button, whether you're watching live or if you're watching us on demand, please do so. It helps us out on the channel tremendously. You can, of course, find me at Goonerly Mead. You can find us all on the channel at Gooner Gathering. And we shall be back next week with some more fun and games. So until then, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. And we shall see you soon.